Alina stood quietly on the alien world of Drazar, her hands shaking slightly as she reached into her medical bag. The sun above was dimmer than Earth's, casting a red glow over the rocky city. Around her, tall alien buildings stretched toward, the sky like bones of giants. She was part of Earth's peace mission, sent to help with medicine, not war. Her team had landed only an hour ago, but already the tension in the air was sharp. Drazari soldiers stood around them, their armor dark and spiked, eyes filled with suspicion. Alina tried not to look nervous. She was here to heal, not to fight. A small alien child had been injured in a street accident. Alina stepped forward, speaking softly to the mother. "I can help. I'm trained for this." The mother nodded hesitantly, stepping aside. Alina knelt and gently checked the child's leg. She smiled to keep the child calm and opened a medical patch from her kit. That's when he appeared. A tall Drazari soldier, larger than the rest, pushed through the crowd. His name was Gorvak, a low-ranking enforcer known for picking fights with those who couldn't hit back. He looked down at Alina with disgust. "Why is a soft human touching one of ours?" he growled. Alina looked up. "I'm just trying to help." "Your child is hurt." "Silence." His voice was sharp. "You don't belong here." Before she could move, before anyone could stop him, Gorvak raised his arm and slapped her across the face. The sound echoed across the courtyard like a gunshot. Alina fell sideways, pain flashing through her cheek. The medical patch dropped from her hand. The alien crowd gasped. Even the soldiers nearby froze in shock. No one expected it. Not from a soldier, not against someone who was unarmed and peaceful. For a moment, no one moved. Then, a new presence stepped from the Earthship behind them. A man in black armor, face half hidden by shadows, walked forward. His steps were slow, controlled, but every movement carried weight. Like a storm was trapped in his chest, just waiting for release. "Ryan Vale." He didn't shout. He didn't break into a run. He simply walked to Alina and helped her to her feet. She looked at him, eyes wide with pain but filled with relief. He brushed the dirt from her shoulder and turned toward the alien who had struck her. Gorvak grinned, showing sharp teeth. "What? You going to cry, little human?" Ryan said nothing. Another Drazari stepped forward, trying to push him back. "Leave now. This is our world, our laws." Ryan tilted his head slightly. Then, in a movement so fast most couldn't follow, his hand flashed forward. The soldier trying to shove him dropped to the ground, unconscious before he hit it. Silence fell. Ryan took one slow step toward Gorvak. The alien reached for his weapon, but it was too late. Ryan moved again. One strike to the chest, another to the leg. Gorvak collapsed, gasping for breath, unable to understand what had just happened. Everyone was watching now. Drazari commanders, civilians, even the guards on rooftops. And none of them dared move. Alina touched her face gently, still shocked by the hit. But when she looked at her husband, she saw something strange in his eyes. Not rage, not fury, control. Deadly, cold control. One of the Drazari officers whispered to another, "That man, what unit is he with?" They searched his ID on the planetary system. The result returned empty. No public record, no background, just a name, and a code that only the highest security levels could even read. The officer paled. Gorvak lay on the ground, groaning. Ryan turned to help Alina again, but before they returned to the ship, he looked back one last time. His voice was calm. "She came here to help your people. You answered with violence." He didn't threaten them. He didn't have to. He simply walked away with Alina by his side. Behind them, Drazari citizens started murmuring in fear. No human was supposed to be that fast, that precise, that calm after such insult. Gorvak had been a brute, but even brutes didn't fall that easily. And this human hadn't used a weapon. He had used training. Perfect, deadly training. As the Earth ship's ramp closed behind them, one soldier turned to the commander. "Should we report this to High Command?" The commander didn't answer for a long time. He just watched the ship, eyes filled with unease. Then he finally spoke. "Yes, but tell them this wasn't an attack. Not yet." Outside, the people of Drazar would remember the sound of that slap. But what haunted them more was the silence that followed. The silence of a man who had not yet started fighting. Word of the incident spread fast across Drazar. Before the suns had set, every corner of the city buzzed with whispers. Soldiers repeated the story like a warning. Civilians told it like a ghost tale. They say the human didn't even raise his voice. He dropped Gorvak in seconds. Her husband, he moved like a shadow. No one knew the full truth, but fear grew with each telling. The name Ryan Vale passed from mouth to mouth, and though few had seen him, all now imagined him, a calm figure with fire behind his eyes. Inside the Earth Embassy, things were quiet, but not calm. Alina sat in the med bay, a cold pack resting on her bruised cheek. She stared at the wall, not saying much. Her hands were steady, but her thoughts weren't. She wasn't angry about the slap anymore. No, it was what followed that shook her, Ryan. He had promised he would never fight again, that he had left those days behind. She had believed him. They had built a peaceful life, doctor and diplomat. But now, she had seen it. The power in his hands, the silence in his steps, and the way soldiers looked at him with wide, fearful eyes. Ryan stood across the room, arms crossed. He hadn't spoken much either, but he was watching, always watching. Finally, she broke the silence. "You told me you were just part of the Earth Guard." He nodded slowly. "I was. But the way you moved. That wasn't training they give normal guards." He looked at her now, eyes unreadable. "I told you I left that life behind. But it's not gone," she whispered. "No, it never truly goes." Alina closed her eyes for a moment. Outside, she could already imagine the consequences. The Drazari wouldn't forget this, especially not their military. And the real danger? They wouldn't take it as an insult. They'd take it as a challenge. They always did. That same evening, deep in the Drazari military tower, General Torque sat in a dark room. Holograms floated before him. Playback footage from street cameras, voice reports, data searches. Each one pointed to one truth. A human, unarmed, had taken down 2 trained Drazari in under 7 seconds. The general grunted. "Who is this man?" His aide replied, nervous. "We don't have full access to Earth's elite files. But based on behavior, skill, and old war footage, there's one possible match." The image of Ryan appeared, younger, bloodied, wearing a different uniform, one with no symbols, no name, just black armor and a number, 7-2. General Torque leaned forward. "No name?" "Code name. Ghost." The general's expression changed. He remembered the old reports, the silent squad. Humans trained not just for war, but for silent destruction. A group of 10, only 5 survived the early missions. Ryan Vale, it seemed, was one of them. A weapon, disguised as a husband. The general stood. If Earth still has these ghosts, and they send them with peace envoys, then perhaps they never wanted peace at all. "But, sir," the aide said, "this human didn't attack first. He only responded." Torque turned. "Yes, but he responded like a god of death. And now, our people are afraid." The general didn't want a war. But fear among his soldiers was worse than battle. If the people believed humans were stronger, the Drazari image of dominance would fall. "We must send a message," Torque said. Back at the Earth Embassy, alarms suddenly echoed. Rian looked up at once. Alina's voice was calm but sharp. "What is it?" Rian was already moving. He didn't need the computer screen to tell him. He felt it in the air. The Drazari were sending someone. Not an assassin. Not yet. A message. They always sent messages before war. Moments later, a Drazari warrior landed outside the embassy. Alone, towering. He stepped forward and threw down a weapon, not to use, but to challenge, a duel. He shouted in front of the cameras, "Send your warrior! Let the galaxy see who is stronger." Ryan stepped outside, calm as always. The alien crowd watched, silent. Alina stood at the doorway, unsure, her heart pounding. Ryan didn't carry a weapon. He didn't need one. The Drazari challenger laughed. "You're brave. I'll give you that." The duel began fast. The alien swung first, a heavy blade flashing. Through the air, but Rian was already gone. He moved like mist, dodged, blocked, turned the alien's strength against him. It wasn't flashy. It was precise, deadly, calculated. Within 20 seconds, the alien was on the ground, weapon gone, arm broken. Ryan didn't kill him. He just whispered something in the alien's ear. The challenger paled. Later, when medics came, the alien refused to speak about what he had heard. He only said one thing. "That human, he sees everything." That night, the city of Drazar didn't sleep, because now they knew something worse than war had come. A silent storm with a human face, and it wasn't here to start battles, it was here to end them. The grand chamber of the Drazari High Council was filled with tension. Thick silence hung in the air. Every elder and commander sat still, their eyes locked on the screen floating above the center of the room. It showed replay after replay of the human, Ryan Vale, defeating the Drazari challenger without effort. Some tried to speak. Others just watched, their claws tapping the table nervously. "This is not just any human," Counselor Vez hissed. "He is a weapon in human skin." Another counselor nodded. "He didn't just win. He made our warrior look weak in front of the whole city." Someone else added, "The people are scared. If they believe humans are stronger, our rule will shake." General Torque stood and looked around. This man must be studied, watched, controlled. "But how?" one counselor asked. "We can't challenge him again, and we can't kill him. If we fail, Earth will have a reason to strike." Torque's eyes narrowed. "Then we don't strike the ghost. We strike his heart." The room went quiet again. Alina Vale. They all thought it, but no one dared say it out loud. Meanwhile, inside the Earth Embassy, Ryan stood by the window, his eyes scanning the skies. He never looked relaxed, even in silence. His hands always twitched slightly, ready for action. His steps, even in peace, were measured. The habits of a ghost never left. Alina walked up behind him. "You're not sleeping." Ryan didn't turn. "Neither are you." She sighed. "I thought maybe, just maybe, this planet would be different, peaceful, a place where war didn't follow us." "We never really left war, Alina," he said. "We just slowed it down." She sat beside him. "You scared them." "I know. They're going to react. I know, and they'll come for me." Now he turned and looked at her. "I won't let them." Outside the embassy, hidden drones and spies watched every move. Inside the Drazari government, quiet plans began. Not war plans, yet, but something darker. Something that didn't show on the news. They would take her, quietly. No blood. No sound, just gone. The Drazari had their own ghosts, after all. 2 nights later it happened. The sky was dark. Winds howled between the tall towers of Drazar City. The embassy's guards were alert, but not prepared for what came. A blackout, short, sharp, and perfect. Just long enough for a shadow team to slip through. They used no weapons, just stun tools, soft steps, and silence. They entered through the upper window, bypassing security codes with Drazari-level access. 1 minute, Alina was reading. The next, she was gone. Ryan's eyes snapped open at once. His senses screamed. Something was wrong. He moved fast, clearing the room in seconds. Empty. The scent of stun gas still hung faintly in the air. His hands touched the floor. Drag marks. He followed them. 3 floors down, he found the broken vent cover. They had taken her through the old waste tunnels. He didn't speak. He didn't shout. He just vanished. Across the city, a quiet alert triggered in a Drazari base. "Human asset has detected breach," said a soldier. "Where is he going?" the commander asked. The screen flickered. Everywhere, security systems went dark one by one. Checkpoints reported movement, but no visuals. Cameras died as he passed. Guards were found unconscious, not dead, but close. Bones broken, weapons gone. Ryan was hunting, and no one could stop him. Inside a hidden facility, Alina woke up groggy but unharmed. A Drazari scientist stood nearby, typing calmly. "You are safe. No pain will come to you," he said. She stared at him. "Where is my husband?" The scientist smiled. "Far from here. He cannot reach this place." Suddenly, a siren blared. Lights flickered. The scientist's smile vanished. "Impossible." The guards grabbed weapons, doors sealed. But it was too late. A flash grenade exploded, then silence. One by one, every light went out, a scream, a crash, then a voice. "Calm, cold, she comes with me." Ryan stood in the doorway, eyes glowing faintly in the red emergency lights. His suit was torn, his arm bleeding, but his steps were steady. One guard tried to move. He didn't get far. Ryan didn't kill, but his strikes were brutal. Final. He reached Alina and cut her bindings. She looked up at him, surprised but not shocked. "I knew you'd come." He nodded once. "Always." Behind them, alarms kept ringing, but Ryan only had one target. He carried Alina through the smoke and chaos, step by step, like it was a memory he had lived before. And maybe he had. Too many times. Outside, ships flew overhead. The Drazari army was mobilizing. But they were too late. The ghosts had already passed through. And the storm wasn't coming. It was already here. The stars above Drazar City shone cold and distant, but on the ground, things were burning. Not with fire, but with fear. The Drazari High Council sat in stunned silence, replaying the latest security footage. It showed Ryan Vale breaking into a high-security lab, disabling elite guards, and walking out with his wife like a shadow through flame. "Impossible," one counselor whispered. "He didn't just rescue her," another said. "He humiliated us." General Torque stood slowly. His face was hard. "No more soft actions. This human has crossed the line. We strike now." "But Earth," someone began. "We'll make it look like an accident, an unknown rebel cell. He'll vanish, and no one will blame us." The council voted. The order was given. The retaliation protocol was activated. Across the city, deep in the Earth Embassy, Alina sat with bruises on her wrists and fire in her eyes. Ryan stood beside her, calm but alert, watching every screen, every signal, every shift in the wind. "You know they're going to come again," Alina said softly. "I'm counting on it," Ryan replied. She looked at him, puzzled. "You want them to?" "I want them close, closer than they've ever been. Close enough to end this." Just then, Ryan's comm link buzzed. "Ghost, protocol is live," came a voice. "Human, from orbit." He looked at Alina. We're not alone anymore. 3 ships uncloaked above Drazar's second moon, small, dark, and silent. Not warships, stealth vessels. Old Earth tech, but upgraded beyond what Drazari could scan. Inside them waited people like Ryan, ghosts, all former special forces, all forgotten by the galaxy, all deadly. The Drazari didn't see them coming, but they were already here. At dawn, the attack began. It wasn't loud, it wasn't even seen, but Drazari defense systems began failing one by one. Power nodes shorted. Command relays went dark. Drone fleets vanished from the skies, confused. Commanders shouted into dead comm channels. Panic grew. Then a transmission was sent. No voice, just an image. Rian Vale standing over the unconscious Drazari guards. A warning. Back inside the embassy, Earth's ambassador stormed into the room. "Ryan, what did you do? The council is furious. They're demanding blood." Ryan turned to him slowly. "Let them demand. But they'll find none today." The ambassador stared at him. "You've started a war." "No," Ryan said coldly. "They did. The moment they laid hands on her." The ambassador sighed, rubbing his temples. "Earth won't support this. We can't fight the Drazari Empire." "You won't have to," Ryan said. Alina spoke softly. "He never needed an army, just a reason." Outside, the city grew. Tense. Civilians felt it, something shifting in the air. People avoided the streets. Shops closed early. The winds turned cold. The Drazari set a trap that night. They leaked a fake signal. Intelligence saying another human, a diplomat, was kidnapped and held in the Eastern Watchtower. It was bait. A message meant only for Ryan. He took it. Alina tried to stop him. "It's a trap." "I know," Ryan replied, loading his gear. "Then why go?" "Because they still think they can beat me." She stared at him. "And what if they do?" He looked her in the eyes. "Then they'll learn what happens when a ghost dies." He disappeared into the night. The tower stood like a broken tooth on the edge of the city, a relic from old wars, abandoned on paper. But tonight, it buzzed with Drazari soldiers, snipers, drones, and one hidden kill team armed with anti-human tech. They waited, and then lights went out. One by one, silence fell. A guard screamed, another vanished into shadow. The commander shouted, "Seal all doors!" Too late. Ryan was already inside. He moved like smoke, like death in slow motion. He didn't fire often, but when he did, it counted. Drones dropped, doors blew open, systems crashed. The kill team never saw him coming. He found the fake hostage room empty. Expected. He left a message burned into the wall. "You drew first blood. I end the war." Then he vanished again. At dawn, smoke rose from the tower. No deaths, but every soldier was down. Wounded, disarmed, humiliated. Ryan left them alive on purpose. He wanted them to feel it. Back in the council chamber, panic turned to fear. Not of war, but of the man behind it. "This human, he's not fighting us," Councillor Vez said. "He's teaching us." General Torque stood again, now with less confidence. "We call for reinforcements from the core. We erase this ghost and every human in this sector." But even he didn't sound sure, because they were beginning to understand. You don't erase a ghost, you only wake it up. And now, Ryan Vale was fully awake. High above the planet, deep in space, the Drazari core fleet floated in silence. Hundreds of ships, warships, cruisers, destroyers, each one painted with the black and gold crest of the Drazari Empire. In the command center of the largest vessel, Empress of Silence, High Commander Voss stood before a glowing screen. The image was clear. A human male, code name Ryan Vale, had just taken down a full Drazari kill squad, alone. "This is unacceptable," Voss growled. "He's just one human." "No, sir," the intelligence officer said quietly. "He's not just anything." Another officer turned. "He's a former Earth shadow, one of their ghosts. They were erased from the records after the last galactic war. We believed none remained." Voss narrowed his eyes. "We were wrong." The order went out. The core fleet would descend on Drezar in 3 days. Full lockdown, total control. No more chances. Back on the surface, Rian watched the news feeds. He saw the reports, ship movements, power disruptions, civilian curfews. He knew what was coming. "They're bringing the core," he said softly. Alina sat beside him, bruises fading but her eyes still sharp. "Can we run?" "No," Ryan said. "We don't run." She looked at him. "Then we fight?" Ryan didn't answer right away. Instead, he opened a small metal case. Inside lay a single chip, old Earth tech, forbidden in most systems. "Is that?" Alina asked. "Protocol Red," he said. She gasped. "That wakes the vault." Ryan nodded. "Only if Earth denies support, and they will. They're afraid." He stood, walked to the console, and connected the chip. "Vault?" he said. The voice that answered was cold, human, and inhuman at the same time. "Identity confirmed, Ryan Vale. Protocol Red engaged. Status? Enemies incoming. High risk. 1 human asset remains active. Response? Wake the old ones." "Confirmed." Across space, in hidden places no one remembered, black ships began to move. Silent, invisible, ancient. Not part of Earth's new army, but something older. Built for wars the galaxy had forgotten. Back in the Drezari Council Hall, the panic was growing. "Sir," a technician reported, "we've detected multiple unknown warp signatures. Not core, not Earth." "Whose are they?" General Torque demanded. "No idea. No transponders, no signals, but they're human-built." The counselor gasped. "Earth's fleet?" "No," the tech whispered. "Something else. Something older." Ryan and Alina stood on a rooftop as the first of the vault ships entered orbit. They were long and dark, covered in armor that shimmered like shadows. Alina stared in awe. "I thought they were just stories." "So did I," Ryan said. The vault ships didn't attack. They just watched, and the core fleet noticed. Voss was furious. "These are Earth ships?" "No. And yes," his officer replied. "They don't match anything in our files. But they're built using Earth Warframe code, modified, advanced, possibly AI-guided." Voss pounded the console. "Send a warning to Earth. If they're behind this—" "Sir, Earth just released a statement." He turned to the screen. The Earth ambassador's face appeared, calm and cold. "The actions of Mr. Ryan Vale do not represent Earth's government. However, Earth will not intervene. What happens on Drezar stays on Drezar." Voss stared, in shock. Earth was stepping back, letting the ghost handle it. And now, Ryan was no longer alone. The next day, the first vault team landed on Drezar. 4 humans. No names, no flags, no emblems. Just precision. Just silence. They met Ryan in the ruins of an old city square. He smiled at them. "Took you long enough." "Vault confirmed your request," one replied. "We follow your lead." Alina watched them move, calm, disciplined, like Ryan. Each step was a warning. Each breath was a countdown. The vault was awake, and the core was in danger. Inside the Empress of Silence, alarms began to sound. Unknown signals were hijacking comms. Defense shields flickered. War drone AI cores began to shut down, like they'd been hacked from the inside. Voss turned pale. "They're not just soldiers," he said. "They're using ghost tech, neural warfare, battlefield AI disruption." He realized too late. This was not a human attack. It was a purge, a message written in silence. Back on the ground, Ryan looked toward the skies. He saw the glow of core ships descending. "They're coming," Alina whispered. He nodded. "And this time," he said, tightening his gloves, "they'll see what happens when ghosts go to war." Above him, vault ships turned. And for the first time in Drazari history, the enemy in orbit hesitated. The night skies above Drazar burned with streaks of light, core dropships entering the atmosphere. The war had truly begun. Ryan stood at the edge of the ruined plaza, watching the flames spread across the city's skyline. Alina stood beside him, hand on her sidearm, her face cold. Behind them, the vault operatives moved like shadows. 4 humans, each trained in ways that made normal soldiers look like children with toys. They had no names, no faces, just codes. They were ghosts. Ryan checked his old neural link one last time. It buzzed softly. One word blinked in red: confirmed. The Corps was here in full force. Thousands of soldiers, mechs, heavy weapons. Entire units had been dropped into the city. Drazari citizens were being locked indoors. The Council had handed full control to High Commander Voss, and Voss was angry. His fleet had been hacked, his forces watched from above by unknown Earth vessels, and one human had destroyed his elite team. Now, he would erase the mistake. The Corps didn't wait. They attacked with brutal force. Shock units stormed through the lower districts, plasma cannons melting old walls, streets turned into war zones. But the Vault team was already moving. Their armor shimmered to match the darkness. Their weapons barely made a sound. They weren't here to fight a war head-on. They were here to bleed the enemy dry, slowly, silently, without mercy. In one alley, a Corps strike squad suddenly dropped dead. No screams, no sounds, just red dots blinking out on a command screen. Voss growled. "Where are the attackers?" No one knew. They were fighting an enemy that didn't exist on any map. Ryan led a second strike, targeting the Corps' forward control unit. He moved like lightning, his blade slicing through Drazari armor like paper. A mech turned to shoot, only to fall apart before it could fire. Alina followed close, covering him with clean, precise shots. "You're faster than last time," she whispered. "I'm angry this time," Ryan replied. Far above, one of the vault ships began jamming core frequencies. Suddenly, the Drazari war units couldn't talk to each other. Orders were lost. Confusion spread. Voss slammed his fist on the table. "Trace that signal!" "We can't!" the tech officer yelled. "It's shifting every second. They're rewriting the signal mid-transmission." Ryan and his team hit another control hub. This one controlled the Corps' air support drones. In seconds, the entire sky grid went dark. No eyes in the sky, no air reinforcements. The ghosts were tearing the Corps' machine apart, piece by piece. Inside the Drazari Council chamber, panic began to rise. "These are humans!" one counselor shouted. "No," General Torque said slowly. "These are monsters from Earth's past, the ones they buried." Voss turned toward the screen again. "Tell Earth, if they don't stop this, we'll declare war." But Earth didn't answer, and the Vault kept killing. In a hidden chamber beneath the city, Ryan and his team regrouped. They'd completed 6 high-value strikes in less than one night. Core defenses were collapsing, but Ryan looked tired. "We need to end this soon," he said. Alina checked her weapon. "They're hunting civilians now. They think they can draw us out." Ryan's jaw clenched. "Then we show them what happens when they threaten what's ours." That night, they struck the Corps HQ. It was supposed to be the most secure building on Drazar. It fell in under 7 minutes. Cameras went black. Walls exploded inward. Vault ghosts moved through fire and bullets like shadows. Voss watched the chaos from his command room. His guards raised their weapons as the lights flickered. Then silence. The doors opened. Ryan stepped in. blood on his gloves, cold fire in his eyes. Voss raised his weapon. "You think this changes anything?" "I don't think," Ryan said. He raised his hand, and the vault ghost behind Voss dropped him in one silent shot. The war ended not with a great battle, but with the sound of a heartbeat fading. The next morning, Drezar was silent. No more corps patrols, no more orders, just smoke rising from the ruins, and shadows that moved in the light. Alina sat, with Ryan on the rooftop again. They watched the sun rise. "It's over?" she asked. "For now," he said. Behind them, the vault ghosts prepared to vanish again, back into the silence, back into the fire, because ghosts don't stay. They only appear when the galaxy forgets what humans are truly capable of. The city of Drezar was quiet now. Buildings still smoked, streets were cracked and torn, but the war was over. The core had been broken, the Drezari leaders had gone silent, and the galaxy was listening. Ryan stood on the steps of the old tower, the same place where his wife had once been hit in public. Now, that tower was a symbol, not of fear, but of revenge. Beside him, Alina watched the sky where Earth's stealth ships hovered cloaked, but present. Their message was clear. "We're watching." The people of Drezar came out of hiding slowly. They saw the vault ghosts move through the ruins, marking spots, scanning tech, leaving messages. Not warnings, reminders. That humans didn't forget. That hurting one of them meant facing all of them. Ryan looked at the main plaza. It was where Alina had been struck, where the core had laughed, where aliens had once watched and done nothing. Now, the plaza had a new sound, a human voice, broadcast in every language. "This is Earth. You struck one of ours. You mocked her. You thought we would bow, or beg, or walk away, but you forgot who we are." The voice paused, cold and calm. "You tried to erase us from your memories. You called us weak, wild, broken. You taught your children that humans were gone. Now you will teach them what happens when you hit the wrong one." Across the galaxy, systems played the broadcast. On warships, in council halls, in schools. Some laughed at first. Then they saw the footage. The footage the Vault team had captured and leaked. Of Voss falling. Of core mechs collapsing. Of elite Drezari dying without ever seeing their enemy. They saw Ryan's face. They saw what rage looked like when it wore a calm smile. Suddenly, no one was laughing. Old empires that once dismissed Earth sent messages of apology. Some tried to erase their records of the incident. Others sent gifts or treaties or offers of peace. But Earth stayed silent. They had said what they needed to say. Back on Drezar, Alina walked through the plaza, past stunned civilians who once looked down on her. No one dared speak. No one even moved. Some bowed their heads. One young alien child stepped forward. She held out a small flower. Alina took it gently. The message had landed. Far away in the Corps' central command center, a new leader rose. He watched the footage again and again. "They sent only 5, he whispered. An advisor nodded. "Not a fleet. Not an army. Just 5. And they erased an entire control force." "Yes, Commander." The new leader leaned forward. "What if they send 10? No one answered. Back on Earth, high above in orbit, a Vault agent filed the final report. Mission complete. Status: silent threat restored. Earth hadn't started this war, but they had ended it with only 5 shadows. In the final hours before the team left, Drezar, Rian, and Alina stood on the cliff outside the city. The wind was cold, the sky peaceful. She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Think they'll come again?" she asked. Rian shrugged. "If they do, they'll remember the slap." She smiled softly. "It was just one hand." He nodded. but it woke the whole galaxy. Behind them, the last vault ship rose silently into the sky, leaving only wind and dust behind. The core would rebuild. The Drezari would rewrite their history. But one memory would always stay, of the woman they hit, and the husband who answered. Because in all the vast stars, in all the ancient legends, there is now a new tale whispered in fear. Never strike a human, because you won't. Just face one, you'll face all of them.